Hello. Remember, to thyself be true, and to thy finances be true. I'm going through my January reflection of my monthly budget, and this is how everything went. So, Standard Bank, it's the same. Capitec is the same as it's the leftover, and salary is the same. Transfer from savings is the same. So, in addition to this, I got a refund for an amount of 1,900 Rand. And then also I got a gift to an amount of 241 Rand 33 cents. So my total income for the month of January was an amount of 47,579 Rand 90 cents. So moving to the fixed expenses, they are, as the name says, life cover was 376 Rand 67, DSTV 139, house assistant 4,000, and my total fixed expense remained 4,515 Rand 67. And then when we move on to my variable expenses, so electricity, I did not buy any electricity this month. And then when it comes to groceries, I bought groceries to an amount of 5,097 Rand 31 cents. Meat costed 2,890 Rand. Petrol, an amount of 300 Rand for petrol. Cleaning supplies, I used 335 Rand 92 cents. Giving, I gave 1,062 Rand 85 cents. Offering was none. Toiletries, I used an amount of 1,031 Rand 81 cents. And then Namibia, I paid 21,300 actual. And then Dubai, I did not pay for the trip. And then for my child, I spent 808 Rand 6 cents because there were also medical levies included in that. And then when it comes to my Standard Bank charges for the month, it amounted to 16 Rand 70, Capitec Bank 50 cents, and then Time Bank 7 Rand 50. Debts, I don't have any debts for the month. So when it comes to my savings, emergency fund, sadly, I did not put anything in there. And then for my 52 weeks challenge, I put an amount of 1,150. Valentine, I put 171 Rand 36. Christmas fund, I put 273. For my husband, I put 200. And then my birthday, I saved exactly 1,000 Rand. So when we go back to the variable expenses, the total variable expenses actually amounted to 34,980 Rand 28 cents. And then my savings amounted to an amount of 2,794 Rand 36 cents. Investments, I invested exactly the same, so it was 5,500, 500, 100, 500. So exactly 2,100 that I invested. And then moving on to my personal. So with personal clothing, I spent 994 rand 95, which was more. Grooming, I also spent 1,240, which was way more. And then I did not purchase books this month. I was still reading The Garden Within Me. That was a gifted book. And license renewal, I paid 306 only because I had to get a temporary license. So my total personal or fun expenses, all in all, there were additions to that for levy medication for myself, which I paid 129 rand 50 cents, and then I had airtime and data, which I paid 189. So the total personal expenses amounted to 2,859 rand 45 cents. So when we do the total, the income for the month we are working with 47,579.9, and then to that, when we deduct the fixed expenses of 4,515 rand 67, we are left with an amount of 43,064.23 cents. To this amount, when we deduct the variable expenses of 34,980 rand and 28 cents, we are left with an amount of 8,083 rand 95. And then to this amount, when we deduct the savings of 2,794 rand 36 cents, we are left with an amount of 5,289 rand 59 cents. And to this amount, when we deduct the investments of 2,100, we are left with 3,189 rand 59 cents. And lastly, the personal expenses of 2,859 rand 45 cents, we are left with an amount of 330 rand 14 cents. So I'm gonna just fill in the summary here of my actual. So actual income was 47,579.9. Total saved was 2,794.36. No debt. Invested 2,100. And then my expenses were 4,515.67 plus 3,490.28 plus 2,859.45. So my total expenses were 42,355 rand 40 cents. And then when we calculate the total again, 47,579.9, to that, when we deduct the expenses of 42,355.4, to that the savings of 2,794.36, and to that the invested of 2,100. So the amount left over that we are carrying over to February is 330 rand 14 cents. So when it comes to notes, For my overspent and underspent, overspent, I have on variable expenses. It's not clear, but yeah, it has to do. And also on my personal expense. And where I underspent is just with my savings. That's the only place where I did not save as I wanted to, but it's fine. So when we go through the review, these are amounts that I've carried forward. I've written from where we've been calculating recently, and these budget categories is what I normally fill in weekly. So I also rounded up everything. So all in all, savings and investments used 10% of my income. Food, I used 17% of my income. For my child, I used 2% of my income. Transport for the month was 2% of my income. Household and utilities, I used 5% of my income. Insurance and subscription, I used 1% of my income. Clothing and entertainment, I used 47% of my income. Giving and education, I used 2% of my income. And then beauty and medical aid, I used 5% of my income. Miscellaneous, I used 9%. So my clothing and entertainment is a bit high because I paid 20 grand for the holiday in Namibia that we are going to. And it's not such a heavy thing because it was transferred from my savings, which I saved for last year. So in terms of representation in a pie chart, this is what I used in terms of my household and utilities, insurance and subscriptions, clothing and entertainment. And then the 10% of savings and investments is here. And then I've got beauty and medical here. And then I've got here food, baby, transport. And then here I've got miscellaneous items. So I really want to improve so that this part, which is savings and investment, can at least look like this, and everything else can share this half part of the pie chart. But we bet ourselves. Looking forward to doing better in the coming months. Until next time, remember, to thyself be true and to thy finances be true.